I tell you, I can do this shit all day.
JT on the track again.
Bang. Bang. What on?
No.
All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the RareForm podcast. And I'm here with my boy, my brother, Anthony Tony Wells.
How's it going?
Yeah. Introduce yourself to the people, man.
How's it going? I'm Tony. I'm from Seattle, from the CD. My bro asked me to come here, so I'm blessing y'all on the mic today.
Yeah. Well, y'all know that one of the purpose of this podcast is to, bring attention to the everyday people who overcame different things to become successful in their own right. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts where people are focusing on celebrities or, and stuff like that, but we don't never really focus on the everyday person who triumphed over real, tough situations and was able to overcome that and become successful. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you is like, why you? Like, what's different about you? What's that one differentiating factor about you that made it easier for you? Well, not easy, but that separated you from everybody who was able to transcend, certain circumstances, and the ones who weren't able to transcend those circumstances.
Honestly, a lot of people always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I was honestly blessed. To be in this situation. I was working for a shitty boss, and he had some people that, were disgruntled patrons, I would say, and he was just an asshole,
Hold on. Before we even get to that part, don't even get to that part yet. Let's kind of delve into who you are as an individual. I think that's gonna be able to help people understand the growth even more. Like if they get to know who you are. So okay. Like you said,
for sure.
From Seattle.
For sure, I'm from Seattle. I grew up on Union, but then we moved to my granny's house in Madison. And I kind of had it, I didn't have it as one would say peachy keen or silver spoon.
Yeah.
We came from kind of a rough background. So when I say me, I mean me and all my siblings. And, I did some things and got into some trouble. And, for a while, a long time actually, that came to bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
Because I got into trouble with the laws as a juvenile, and then things escalated. But I surpassed all that, and was able to overcome that. And it was just kind of hard, growing up in a household with 16 people.
Yeah.
And
I guess, what was it like growing up in Seattle? For a lot of people that don't know, in the 80s, 90s, like, what was that like? Because I got a taste of it in the 90s for a little while when I stayed here as a kid for a little while before I moved back to Louisiana. So
the 80s and 90s was crazy. I mean, it was crazy. Like, the 80s was cool because I was, they were ending the whole, I guess, rock genre and motherfuckers was bebopping.
Yeah, hip hop started.
When we was, I remember my older cousin Frankie. He was him and my cousin Dusty. They was in the kitchen room in their mama's house breakdancing, putting cardboard on the floor and all that shit. So it was filthy in the 80s, and in the 90s, the late 80s or the mid 80s is when the crack era hit, and that's when the gangs came up from LA. And it went crazy after that in the 90s.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand, man. Like, that era in American history is the one that had the biggest, I think, negative effect on the Black Americans
crack
that are
area
here now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, my family had like 5 houses in a 6-block radius, and crack took all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like we were up.
Yeah.
My family was up, bro. Hey.
Yeah.
And then at 85, 86, you just started seeing things go downhill. Each year we lost something.
Yeah.
You know, something was gone. Something was sold. Something was, you know, like, damn. Got around 92, 93, and it was every man for himself. Because my granny and my uncle was the only one that held on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my granny's, she's
Alzheimer's.
taking care, she's taking care of everybody else, and they drove her so crazy, she wound up getting dementia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was crazy. So
Yeah. That's,
anybody in the CD who did drugs, bro, or dealt drugs knew about the Blue House on 24.
Man, that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My Uncle Cowboy used to really beat the streets on Madison back when Dino's was, you know, like it used to be a real, like the early 80s, it was popping, bro. Ain't no era like the 80s and the 90s when it comes to Seattle, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the 90s was just full of good music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was, to me, that was the 70s and the 90s got the best music. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So the 90s, it was just, you know, we got caught up in things like gangbanging and, you know what I mean, things like that. And it was a completely different twist from what Seattle used to be. Because Seattle used to be like players. And like, you know what I mean? Like really with the gang. And then the gang members came. I remember like it was yesterday. They had in the Seattle Times, big old letters, gangs have hit Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Talking about the Bloods and the Crips. Gang, and they're so used to gang banging a block away down in LA.
Yeah.
They came up here and we started gang banging a block away.
Yeah.
On Cherry and Jefferson. You know what I mean? So it was just crazy, you know, when you're riding around on your 10 speed or your BMX, you know, and you're 12 years old, and somebody asking you what set you from.
Yeah.
Because they ready to pull a bullet.
If people don't understand, like you become a product of your environment. You gotta survive, right?
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. And so my dad, he always used to, in my family, you couldn't cry. If you was a boy, you couldn't cry. You had to always, you know, like be a man. Boy, shut that shit up. And so there was no room for emotion. You know what I mean? And so growing up emotionally detached, you kind of like.
It makes it easy to adapt to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, you gotta, in order to live that lifestyle, you really gonna be in. My grandfather used to tell me all the time, you can't have one foot in and one foot out. You see what I'm saying? So if you're gonna be in that lifestyle, you gotta be able to detach yourself from your humanity.
Go all the way. You know, and it takes a special. I'm not gonna say a special type of mindset. It takes somewhat of a deranged mindset, you know, or somebody who can somewhat be a sociopath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In order to adapt to that type of situation, because that's it. I've been, you know, diagnosed at 22 with Gulf War syndrome, and at that time, they never left Washington.
Yeah, but you know, growing up, you growing up in the war zone. People don't think that you can have PTSD. Like black people, I feel like, you know, are like we're born with that generational trauma from different things. Especially if you were born from that 70s to the end of the 90s.
Right.
You're inheriting that type of trauma,
and
you're growing up it's not normal to be burying your friends every week. It's not normal to be seeing your uncles in and out of jail.
It ain't normal to see your mama get smacked up every day.
Yeah.
Thrown down steps.
Yeah. And they want, you know what I mean? They wonder
not
why.
To laugh, but,
you know, for real. Like, and people wonder why.
I'm a sociopath.
We grow up with, and we have certain type of behaviors that we exhibit. It's like, yeah, you guys care for, and I feel like I can say this because I was enlisted, but, you know, if you're overseas and if you're downrange and you're doing whatever you have to do and you're fighting your battles and you have to worry about people killing you every day, imagine being home every day and walking outside to go to the park and have to worry about somebody where you actually live, where you can't fly 13, 14, 15 hours away and get away from
the situation.
You got to walk outside every day.
So imagine how they feel.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I mean,
that's a real thing, man. Growing up and developing PTSD from these inner city communities, man. And it's hard to get out of because,
bro, you know how many years of counseling I've been through? Yeah, I could teach an anger management class. I could teach it. Like I've been through many years. It took me many years of counseling just to cope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to cope with the type of environments that I grew up in. Like people say, oh, Seattle, you know, a lot of people don't even know where Seattle is. When I say Washington, I've been down south and, you know, I done traveled since then, but when I go places, I say I'm from Washington. I gotta tell them the upper left side of you, man. Yeah. Not Washington, D.C. They think I'm from Baltimore, Washington, D.C. somewhere. Yeah. I'm like, no, Seattle, Seahawks. You know, and they're like, oh, as soon as they say Seahawks, they know who I'm talking about. Because everybody know the NFL. Yeah. You know, so, but they think that it's soft.
Yeah. Well, people don't understand.
It's not.
Yeah, people don't understand. Like it. Not only it had to be tough raising kids at that time. You fight your own battles, but you also got to teach. Like you said, like your dad was like, y'all better not cry. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, he got to prepare you for what's going on outside.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So as a parent, you got to make a decision. Like I can teach my son to be emotional, be in tune with his emotions, this and that. But is he gonna be able to survive in that world if I teach him that way?
And that's kind of what my dad was. I feel like as I got older that he was on, because he used to tell us all the time, the world don't care about y'all. I care about y'all, but the world don't. Once you leave these doors, the world don't care about y'all. So it's up to me to make sure that you guys are prepared. You know, prepared to, you know, I mean, he had a hell of a way of doing it. You know what I mean? But, you know, I can say that all my siblings are now grown with their own households and their own families and they're, you know, married and so on and so forth. So, I mean, in hindsight, he did okay considering the circumstances. Yeah. You know, considering that my parents was on drugs, considering that 85% of my family was on drugs since the 80s. You know what I mean? So in the pivot, so how was that transition, you know, as you grew, you know, because as you got older, obviously, like you said, you know, everybody was around you was banging, like, you know, you got to choose. Right. It's hard to, like, either you're going to get put on, or you're going to be affiliated, but you got to choose. You got to choose. You know what I mean? So how was it being able to make that transition to, like, okay, like, what was that turning point in your head to, like, okay, this ain't it. Like, I got to be able to, you know, do something better. When some of my own supposed homeboys jumped me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, but for sure. That was supposed to be, these supposed to be my partners, and they jumped me over some BS. Mm-hmm. And I knew then, I was like, okay, I'm going to still rap, but I ain't gonna be active. You know what I mean? Like that, yeah. And then as I grew and I got older, it was just like, man, y'all can have that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Y'all can have that. You know what I mean? And I can sit here and name some reputable names, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's not gonna give me no clout. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I'm a grown man now. You know what I'm saying? And to pivot that, I've turned myself around and I started my own movement company. Yeah. You know? It's all right. So, and to get into that, to segue into that. So, if somebody wanted to get into a movement, somebody wanted to like start say I'm Joe Blow up the block, and I'm like, man, I want to start my own business. How difficult is it to get into that space? Into the moving space? Yeah. It's easy. It's easy. You just need your business license. You need to get a EIN. Your UBI will come with your business license. And then get a truck. And then get insurance, of course. But it's hard to see. Like I said, I was blessed. You know, I had someone who wanted more, and because I had worked in the moving industry for 17 years now, she wanted me on her team. Shout out to Spark Staging. Relationships. Like I try to tell people, relationships are worth more than money, because relationships are going to get you in the doors that money can't get you. Because there's billionaires that can't go sit down in a certain room based on their money. Because everybody in that room, billionaires, need your money. Yeah. Like, can somebody vouch for you? Do you know this person that's sitting next to me? Do you know this person? What's your name like? You know what I mean? Because relationships, and for all of you young people, I'm trying to tell y'all, relationships are more valuable. Right now, attention is the new currency right now. People crave that attention more than anything. They'll do anything for that attention. Right.
that attention ain't gonna get you what you think it's gonna get you. People in the world are getting less people on social media that are getting all the attention in the world, but they broke. They don't know what to do with it. They're broke. They're depressed. They're sad. They don't know what's going on.
First, you got to know how to market yourself.
Yeah.
You know, marketing is 90% of the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you can't market yourself, well then don't nobody know about you. Therefore, can't nobody buy your product.
Yeah.
You know, so what I did was I just got on Vistaprint, and put it on Facebook, every social media. My wife has every social media outlet that you could possibly have, and has 1 million followers. Not literally, but you know.
Yeah.
So we just networked through that, and like I said, with the me building a relationship with the people that I work with now. I used to work with them for a different company, and then that fell through. So they asked me to, you know, come on with them.
Yeah.
I immediately took the opportunity.
So,
you know?
so if somebody was like trying to get in, I know you mentioned getting a truck, like that's the most important part, but you know, there's people who have bad credit or whatever. Talk about like how hard it was for you without a truck, and like the shit you had to deal with, and the money you lost or had, you know, and stuff like that. Like how tough that was.
Okay, so first of all, if you don't get a DOT number, you better keep your ass in state.
Yeah. What's the DOT number?
The Department of Transportation number. So that's what allows you to go out of state. If you don't get that, if you don't plan on going out of state, don't get one. Right? Secondly, they have 2 things that you have to sign up for, and that's a drug and alcohol like testing thing, and like another out of state thing. So you don't, these 2 requirements don't have to necessarily be met because there's only a certain criteria. Like you have to be moving something over 26,000 pounds to do the drug and alcohol test, or be going out of state to have a U.S. Washington State Department of Transportation number, right? So with that being said, if you're not doing these things, which I'm not, then I don't have to qualify for these things, you know? So, but if you plan on doing that and going out of state and doing like long hauling or things like that, then you could do it. Now, as far as getting started, there's a lot of apps. First of all, let me tell you something. My credit when I started this was like a 460. I don't think you can get lower than that, you know? Yeah. So my credit was horrible, you know, because I didn't know how to use credit, so I mismanaged it.
Yeah, and hold on, not to cut you off, but credit is king. That's a lot of things. That's something that we don't talk about and that we weren't taught. See, the importance of credit.
I was taught that cash was king.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now cash is obsolete.
That's because our parents and people in that generation weren't a part of. They didn't understand the transition.
Right.
You know, credit for them. When they were coming up and buying houses, it was the goodwill credit, like the type of person you are, whatever. Like that was their credit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Houses were $10,000, $20,000. You know what I mean? So they didn't adapt. And then around 2000, I think that's when the whole credit system changed.
That's when Seattle changed.
You know what I mean? Yeah, for real. But yeah, like
so. For those who don't know, when it comes to credit, you're only supposed to use 30%. I found out. You know what I'm saying? They gave me a $2,000 limit. I was like, what? I got $2,000. I'm finna go. You know? Yeah. I got some things I got to do real quick. You know? But it didn't work out like that. So long story short, I had to cancel some cards or default on some cards. You know, and until I was able to pay them back. And because of that, my credit was shot. I couldn't get no loan for a truck. I couldn't do things, you know what I mean? So I had to think outside the box, okay? Well, there's a lot of rental places, Budget. I personally use Handy Andy, U-Haul, you know what I mean? Like, so they have like business apps that you can get onto. Like U-Haul has U-Help, where you can say that you show them your business license, you show them your insurance, you show them your things like that. And what they'll do is they will generate clients for you for a percentage. And then there's other things like Roadie or Shipley, where you'll just pick up something and transport it from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So you'll do like on Shipley, I use Shipley, and I bid on items like from here to Yakima or things that like freight people need. A dining set transferred from Seattle to the Tri-Cities, right? And so on Shipley, you just make your bid. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but there's a lot of things that have to go into that bid as well. Your gas, your mileage, your percentage that you're supposed to make, your 30% markup, your wages, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things that you gotta, and you see people on there doing things that's just wasting bids, and I don't know how they do it, but I'm not doing it. But so there are ways that you can get started. I personally, like I said, have been using Handy Andy to get started, and I used Handy Andy for 10 months straight.
Yeah.
Before I was able to buy my truck.
And that shit cost. That's costly though. That's gonna take rent those out.
So it's $1.68 a mile with U-Haul. $1.89 with budget. And I picked Handy Andy because they were 92 cents.
If you're making like, say you making with numbers like that, if you making like $60,000 a month, depending on what your prices is, you can be ended up paying just for your truck like
now see
$20,000-$30,000 a month.
That is true, but you also got to look at there's a lot of overhead. Like you got to get like blankets, you got to get straps, straps break constantly. Straps, you know what I'm saying? Like, and no matter what truck you're in, you're gonna more than likely need a 26 footer, so you're gonna have a gas guzzler.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my first year of work, I spent like maybe 40% of my earnings just on gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got 40% of your earnings going just on gas, and people are like, oh, well, you can get that tax write-off. Yeah, well, see, they only write off 50% of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So now you got to take that, like there's a bunch of things that you got to take into consideration, but it can be done. I did it. You know what I mean? So even, with a shoddy background, I show people that I'm trustworthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why Spark Staging gave me a shot.
Yeah. But your background has everything to do with your circumstance as a kid. That's all kid stuff, not grown adult stuff, right? So I think any person who would ignore that is a shitty person, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to hold the kid. I'm not going to hold a grown man responsible or accountable for what he did as a kid if he's already made amends and owned up and grew and changed to a different person.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's something that we face. People don't want to, we're living in a time where, one of the most profound quotes I heard was, this generation would let Malcolm Little become Malcolm X. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they'll always hold Malcolm Little against him. He'll never be able to grow and evolve.
Right.
And I think that's a big flaw on, our society right now.
I agree with you.
We got to be able to grow.
I was given a second chance, so I try to give as many second chances as I can give. You know what I mean? Like, I try to help people, when I see that they need help. I'm kind of knowledgeable in the law, so when I see somebody, struggling with something or they can't, I try to help them the best way I can. I've helped people, what I'm saying, like beat cases that were frivolous and fraud, I just try to give back any way possible. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's about karma, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get out, you get back what you put out.
That's the one true law. It will never change.
What I mean? So regardless on what happens, it's always going to come back around, whether it's good or bad. If you put it out in the universe, it's going to come back.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so back to the movie thing, we got sidetracked a little bit.
Yeah.
But the the moving industry is there can't be enough.
Yeah.
Everybody's moving
Constantly, especially in high growth areas.
In Seattle, because of this monorail, is well. Let me give you a statistic. The last time I checked, there was 6,000 people a day moving to Washington from other places. 6,000 people a day.
Wow, it's damn traffic.
That's where,
Shit.
Not traffic shitty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I was so happy to be essential during COVID. Listen, wasn't
nobody on the
traffic,
road. Yeah.
bro. Wasn't no traffic. I loved it. I can get to my job on time. I ain't got to honk or cuss at nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no idiots on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to tell people, are you essential? Get up out of here.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, man, anybody can do it. You just gotta stick with it. Cause there's gonna be some bumps in the road. You know what I mean? Like, for the first year, I maybe made, at the end of the day, $25,000, and that's not even paying me.
And yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like trying to grow the company, right? And so it's like most of my expenses was to go back into the company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you got to keep replacing blankets, you got to keep replacing dolly wheels, you got to keep replacing straps, you got to, pay $1 million in gas.
So how much on average, like, would a truck, if somebody wants to buy a truck, like, how much on average would that be?
It depends on if you can find one, first of all, because it's extremely hard to find one, unless you want to pay $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's a good one, and that's going to be used. You know what I mean? Like they're up there, bro.
Yeah.
Like, the cheapest one I've seen, and which is the oldest one that I've seen, that's like that you can go buy like from a dealership or something like that. It was like 74,000, 68,000, something like that. And I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna make your money back.
Yeah.
For sure, you're gonna make your money back. But like I said, you gotta have credit to get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or some kind of collateral, or
hell of a cosign.
Yeah, and 20,000 down payment. You know what I mean? And now you got to go tell these people where you got 20,000 from. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. I've been saving it. You can't,
just like any business, there's gonna be like struggles and pitfalls. I think that's the biggest thing now, especially with inflation being crazy, with all this type of stuff that's going on. Like, it's tough on like the working person, but people who are trying to jump into entrepreneurship. But now is the best time to jump into entrepreneurship.
It is. I would have to agree, because now is the time when everything is, they're raising prices and they're cutting jobs.
Yeah.
So right now is the best time to be an entrepreneur, because I personally always knew that I just never was a worker bee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was never a worker bee. I always knew that I was going to work for myself eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just how, when, and pretty much let God take control. And when it happens, it happened. And he sure enough gave me a presentation.
Yeah.
And I sure love bit like a big mouth bass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's another thing people got to do. They got to recognize their blessings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes if it's too good to be true, right? It might be too good to be true. But then again, there's those times when it's really true.
Yeah.
So, you got to pick and choose. Trust me, I done spent a lot of money doing a lot of things, learning a lot of different jobs, doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I could do a lot of things. I have a lot of skills, but it was just something that I just always felt like I gotta work for myself. I can't have a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people out there that want to do that, but they just don't know how.
Yeah.
or win, you know. But it's just like I was always told this by my brother Mama's, rest in peace. You just gotta go, bro.
Yeah.
You just gotta. When I did this moving company, bro, I was scared as hell.
Yeah.
I ain't finna lie to you. I didn't know what was gonna happen. You know, I didn't know if I was gonna, you know, bottom up or, you know, whatever they call it in the blue collar industry or whatever you want to call it. But I didn't know if I was gonna fail or succeed. But I knew I was gonna take the shot. I was gonna shoot my shot. And if I failed, well then guess what? Okay, I failed. I was down that business. Open up a new one.
That's what they don't. That's what people gotta understand, man.
You know what I mean?
The only thing guaranteed by not trying is that you want 100% not attain whatever you try to get.
Yeah, the only way to 100% fail is to not try it all, bro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like I'd have been through a whole lot, and I just needed to give myself a fighting chance.
Yeah.
You know, put my gloves on, laced up my boots, and now I'm out in the ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, it can be done. You know, it is obtainable. You know, because I'm just a little hood dude from, you know what I'm saying, from around the way, grew up shitty, you know what I mean? And now I got a nice business.
Yeah, I mean, you decide to, like you said, you decide to take control of your situation, your circumstances. I think people don't, but the determining factor was the fact that you ain't afraid to work.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
People don't want to work.
Yes.
You gotta work. It's possible
it's
to be
hard.
successful. But if you don't want to work or like to work, it won't happen.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you have to have that motivation. Bro, I get up every morning at 6 o'clock, whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
My body just gets up.
Yeah.
Okay, time to go to work. You got something you got to do. You got to go put in some work.
Yeah.
You know, you got money you got to go get. You know what I mean? So it's like I've conditioned myself to subconsciously already get up and be ready to go. You know, because I worked my whole life. You know what I mean? I've done everything from DNR to building houses to concrete work to painting cars to remodeling cars to, I mean, I've done it all. Arbor tree. I've been the guy up in the trees cutting down tree limbs. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done it all, bro. There's not too much that I haven't done. You know what I mean? So I've also been the sandwich maker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've also been the steam cleaner ironer. You know what I mean? The presser. You know what I mean? I've also worked for Genie, building forklifts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've done a lot of things. But every time that I've done all those things, I just knew
This ain't it, Chief.
this ain't it. This is temporary.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why I got so many skills, because I've had so many temporary jobs.
Yeah.
I'm 40 now. So you think about it like this. About 6 months on each job.
Yeah, for real.
You know, about 6 months on each job, I got about 20, you know,
Yeah.
17, 20 professions under my belt. You know what I mean? And I could do them accurately and good. But it's just time, you know, time to have my own.
Yeah.
My own.
Yeah, and I think that's the most. And you put it a good way. You know, like people, those skills that you earn skills from doing those jobs. Like when people got to understand that when you're working at these jobs that you don't want to be at, you're trading time for money. So you better
Absolutely.
get something from that.
You better get something
You
from it.
cannot get that time back. You can get a few dollars, $16,
Yeah.
$15, $12 an hour, cool, pay your bills, whatever.
Right.
But if you know this isn't your final stop and you're trading that time for money, you better go and get something from that.
Man, look. So my cousin Frankie asked me the other day. He said, "Tom, how much would it take to lock you up?" I said, "There's no price." He said, "What you mean?" I said, "I don't give a damn how much you give me." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Freedom is priceless, bro.
Man, yes,
you know what I'm
it
saying? And you'll never understand that truly until you've had it taken. People understand it, but like until you truly had it taken, like you'll never truly understand.
It's different. On each side of the glass is different.
Right. So, but at the same time, like the main reason why I said that is because time is the only thing in life that you can't get back.
You can't buy more.
You can earn money, you can make money, you can, you know, do whatever it is that you do to get money.
Yeah.
Right? but you can't get that time back. At the end of the day, you getting older, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so there's going to be a time when you can't do those things. You know? So if you're not doing something to prepare yourself to take care of yourself at the time when you're not able to do those things, then
you're in trouble.
You really need to assess your priorities.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's hard. It's hard to get people to understand that, though. You know what I mean? Especially in the mind state that we're in right now. You know, with the younger generation, trying to get them to understand that, because they want everything quick, they want everything easy, they want everything fast. Like this, that microwave generation. You know what I mean? They don't want to put in that work. They don't want to let the meat defrost. They want to throw that mama straight in the pot while it's frozen. You know what I mean? And that's not how it's
going to blow up on you.
You know what I mean?
You know, so I mean, you know, this is the era of, you know, what I would call laziness. You know, there's a lot of these guys, like, there's people out here, let's just say, for instance, because it's a very real thing, identity theft, right? Card swiping and all that type of stuff. You got, they're doing all this and there's no ends to justify the means. Okay, you done swipe for $80,000, but what you gonna do with it? Go buy you a car, go deck out your jewelry, you're not gonna do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you just took a federal penitentiary chance. You know what I mean?
For a new chain.
For a new chain or a new car. You know what I mean? Like, that you're not even gonna have when they come and get you. Or if you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So it's like, I be trying to talk to these young guys and just try to, okay, if that's what you're doing, I'm not condoning it, but if that's what you're doing, then that's what you're doing. Yeah. But do something with it. Yeah. You know, that's my only suggestion. Just do something with it. Make sure that after it's done, that's not your day job. Yeah. You know what I mean? Make sure that there's an end to justify that means. You know what I mean? Because if not, then you're just wasting time. Yeah.
Time that you can't get back. I tell you what, man, like, I'm not about to, like you said, like, I ain't about to jeopardize my freedom for something so small and minute. You know what I mean? Like $80,000 is not enough for me to go to jail.
Man, look.
You know what I'm saying?
At one point in time, I thought it was. Yeah. You know? At one point in time, I thought it was. But it ain't no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I've grown.
Yeah. And we got to, and taking that responsibility to teach the younger generation that there are the opportunities, other routes, giving them, you know, opportunities to do things and see things and understand things. I think that plays a huge part too, because a lot of them want to listen to, a lot of them want to do better. But you know, like we said earlier, like when you become a product in your environment, you still got to survive. You got to do what you got to do. A lot of these kids are in those shitty situations, right? So this is all they got, or this is all they've been taught. They've only been taught to hustle. They've only been taught to scam. They ain't been taught like, hey, you can go get that same $80,000 but not do a day in jail. Right. Let me show you how to do that.
Right. And I think that's our fault.
Yeah, for sure.
As a generation, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't teach the younger generation. Now I'm talking as a whole, a generation to a generation. You know, we barely got taught what it was from the generation above us, because the generation above me was like pimping and hoeing and you know what I'm saying, and drug dealing and you know what I mean, like, so they wasn't really like giving away game on life, you know what I mean, and things like that. They was teaching you how to cook up a quarter. They was teaching you how to, you know what I mean, take this pack over there, or you know what I mean, and you'll get X amount of dollars. And so when we seen that, we was like, man, bet. Yeah. You know what I mean? And ain't no food in the refrigerator. And you're telling me all I gotta do is take this package from here 4 blocks down and I get $200? Oh, yeah. We finna have a whole bunch of food up in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and because that's the mindset that these people were thinking on. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the mindset that I was thinking on. Like, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is gonna get me, you know, X amount of dollars because I'm finna go splurge after that. No. I'm like, man, I got a little brother, I got a little sister. They're hungry, they need clothes, you know what I mean? So, like, I had to do what I had to do in order to take care of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
And that's why it's important for us to not be quick to judge, but to also give them hold them to a certain level of accountability too. Right. You feel what I'm saying? Because, like I said, like when you're in that situation, like you said, man, my little brother, my little sister got to eat. I'm gonna go whatever. Mama ain't doing it. Daddy ain't here.
You feel me?
Like what? We supposed to just sit in here and just
starve.
Eat a Hope sandwich
and keep eating these biscuit cakes.
You feel what I'm saying?
That we've been eating.
No. So that's why it's important right now for us to be able to do something, whether it's even making a podcast and videos and just giving game, or whether it's seeing these young boys out here, these young girls out here, and just stopping them and be like, hey man, what's up? Like you good? You straight?
Honestly, I'm going to cut you off, but honestly, I think it'd be a good idea to teach these people about the UCC.
All right, explain.
Well, the UCC is like the common law. It has to do with the actual Bill of Rights and things like that. Because a lot of these things that we consider codes, RCW, revised codes of Washington, aren't law.
Yeah.
Codes aren't law. And statutes are British law. And that's just by definition according to the government's own writing. So we could talk about that some other time.
Yeah.
But that's just something I think that a lot of people should be up on, because everything that we was ever told was a lie, bro.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they got like local, groups that try to teach that stuff, but they're not. These kids don't know about it. The
right.
People now don't know about it. So how do we get? So I guess trying to figure out how do we get that information to them in a way that they even want to accept the information and learn it. Because when I was like, if I was 15 and you was like, hey man, let me tell you about this RCW, I'm like, you don't get out of my face. I ain't trying to get that shit.
Right. So what you have to do is you have to twist it and make it interesting.
Yeah. All right, we getting off topic. We can talk about that.
I'm just saying.
But all right, so if you can give your younger self any advice, your younger self, I guess anywhere between 14 and 21.
A younger self.
If you can give yourself any advice, what would you give yourself?
Don't be scared, man. Go for it. Because I wanted to do a lot of things in my life, but I didn't because fear is what held me back. Yeah. Because I was scared of what the outcome might be.
Yeah.
Right? So because I was scared of what the outcome might be, I didn't even try it. And who knows where I would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I think it was Kobe that said it. I'm trying to think of the exact quote, but he was basically saying like, don't like, what is the damn quote? He was basically saying, don't like have that conversation with yourself. Don't try to talk yourself out of doing stuff.
Right.
He's basically saying, what is the goddamn quote, man? It's a really good quote. But it goes along with what you're saying. It's like that. We have that fear of the unknown, and it gets so bad to where we keep ourselves from doing stuff that can actually be great for us because we're afraid of something that didn't even happen.
So they just found a new F. Remember, it was fight or flight?
Yeah.
Now they've come up with a new one because they've seen it so much psychologically. Now it's fight, flight, or freeze. Right?
Yeah.
And that freeze is how people
freeze up.
Oh, how you just gonna let the car hit you?
Yeah.
They scared to death. They literally froze up, right? So that's how they let the car hit them, right? So subconsciously, that's also something that burdens us as individuals when it comes to executing something that we want to do.
Yeah.
I still do it. I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite and say that I don't. There's a lot of things that I want to do that I'm scared to do, but I'm inching toward trying them. I'm at least giving them a fighting chance of me doing them.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of things that I want to do, and there's still a lot of things that I am going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get in contact with you and your business, how would they reach you? Like, what's your information?
They can reach me at movingroyalty206@gmail.com, or they can just give me a call at 206-557-2552.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Appreciate you coming in, stopping by, and just kind of running a little bit.
Appreciate you having me.
We got to chop it up again on some different stuff next time.
Oh, I got you.
But you know how it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, y'all know what it is. Another episode in the books. Be sure to subscribe and listen on all platforms. Share with your friends. And tune in next week for some more of this free water. Peace.